Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, I am science.
And he's testifying right now for Congress. Well, not really. Not testifying. He pled the fifth. Last count 80 times. Something insane like that.
I plead the fifth on grounds that it may incriminate me.
He's not answering anything. And the media was, especially on the right side, all giddy. Oh, Rand Paul's going to get Dr. Fauci. This is going to be the final showdown. He's going to have to testify, even though he got pardoned by the worst president this nation's ever known, Joe Biden, Joe Obama. And I kept saying, what do you think is going to happen? Come on. He's going to plead the fifth. Yeah, but he'll have to answer this time because of this and because of that, and fill in the blank. And here's the reason why. And this time he's going to incriminate himself. His whole damn career has been incriminating himself. But yet he has still had one of the most powerful positions in the nation, deciding world events. And he's gone through how many different presidents? And he has still maintained his tremendous positions of power, medical research, gain of function, testing on beagles, sand fleas, locking down beagles, dogs. Why beagles? There was some reason why it had to be that particular breed of dog. Strapped down, glass encased or plexiglass encased their heads, dump sand fleas in there to watch the effects and to monitor what happens as these dogs were being bitten and eaten alive into their eyes, ears, mouths. That alone. I'm telling you, I could pull the lever. I could pull the lever. And that's just what he did to dogs. Not even talking about what he's done to us. Filthy pig, filthy man. Have you read any of the diary excerpts that have been now published? They're out there. Things that this megalomaniac, this pathetic piece of crap was writing. And here's why we have the diary excerpts of Dr. Anthony Fauci. The idiot was compiling his memoirs and doing his own gain of function research on himself, doing his diary on government systems.
Oh, this is a good one. I got to write this down. Yeah, I showed President Trump. Yeah, I made the whole world shut down. Look how big I am.
Look them up. Read them. Fauci diaries. On government servers. So all they had to do was just go, okay, you know what? We're taking these. And then I don't know if it was a leak, if it was on purpose. I don't even care at this point. I just know that Fauci's diary is out there. I'm not an angry guy. I want to have a party all the time. I am the quintessential Peter Pan. I'm not ashamed. I just am. That's who I am. I used to beat myself up for it. Oh, Charlie, you got to be more serious. You got to take things more seriously. I'm Peter Pan. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of these wicked people getting away with doing wicked things to good people who don't deserve it. I lost almost everything during the COVID shutdown that he propagated, that he pushed out there, that he didn't care. They don't care. They don't care about us. And the whole, well, we're doing this for your own good because we care is a lie. It's such a lie. So what's going to come of all this? Nothing. He's going to keep pleading the fifth. Nothing's going to come of it. But this is setting something up. I'm quite convinced of that. Because they had to know that this is what he was going to do. He wasn't going to confess anything. He wasn't going to admit anything. He's not going to incriminate himself. He's going to use our wonderful constitutional republic laws and dictates to protect himself. As frustrating as that is, what do you think he was going to do? I really believe something's coming of it, though. This is setting something up bigger and greater and grander. I have to believe that. But I don't want to take a life, but I'm telling you, Anthony Fauci, I think I could pull that lever. Anyway, who am I to judge, right? Who are you, Charlie? I'm sure you've done bad things too. Yeah, sure. I lied a couple of times and I maybe took that pin that I knew I wasn't supposed to take. So I've stolen. Okay. At this point, I have to go off of scripture. Always go back to God. Go back to God's word. And I love two things. One is Ephesians 5:11. Be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's me. That's what I do. The other one is nothing is done in secret that will not be exposed by the light. Nothing is done in darkness that will not be exposed by the light. It's happening. It's taken decades, but it's happening. And my guest today is Ian Trottier. He's written a book, High Stakes Treason. This is about John Brennan. Yeah, CIA director. Yeah, piece of crap. Going on CNN, crashing my president all the time. Had high security clearance. All these clowns had their, even though they were retired, no longer working for the agency, they still had their high security clearance. Why? Why? It's all so dirty. The deep state has got its own deep state. Unelected bureaucrats. Damn it. I really believe it's all about to come crashing down. Thank God. Thank you. Thank you, Father. Seriously, thank you, Father. Justice will be done. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I know that. I claim that. You said it. It's happening in your name, Christ Jesus. Thank you. All glory to you, Father in heaven. Holy God, Abba, Father. Amen and amen. You're going to like Ian. You're going to be shocked at what he has to say. It's a very powerful book. Oh, check out his website. Treason in America. Look at that. High stakes treason. Yeah, buddy. Before I bring him in, though, I'm going to ask two favors from you. One is to actually go to my website and buy some of my products. That will help me stay on the air. They share the profits with me, the company that makes this mug. Let's talk about politics and religion. This is custom designed, by the way, by me. I can design that mug. Of course, it's red. Let's talk about politics and religion. Do not talk. Two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. I got the mugs. I got the hats, especially this hat right here. Shut up. You know you want one. Don't even be acting like you don't. Trump is right about everything, as we're finding out. I got all kinds of stuff at charliesimons.com, CharlieSimons.com. The other thing I'd like to ask you to do is actually hit the like button on this show. When you hit that like button, it's an algorithm thing. And share these shows. Helps it get out. Facebook deleted all my pages last year. For a little show I did about Pride Month, seemed to tick off some of these, the homo mafia in Silicon Valley. Went to war against me, deleted all my pages on Facebook and Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, YouTube, 2 strikes against me. One more, they're yanking the entire thing. That's owned by Google. Think you're actually getting your truth from anybody who's on YouTube? They have to curb their language. They can't even say words like suicide. They can't say words like rape. They can't say words like pedophiles. They literally can't even say those words. They have to bleep them out, or they have to use code words, just like during the whole COVID thing. I got in all kinds of trouble because I kept calling it what it was. I wasn't going to use the jab. No, it's the death shot. It's the COVID death shot. What are you, high? What is wrong with you? It's a dad blame flu. I don't care if it's manufactured or not. It had a 99.8 survivability rate. And you're going to put poison into your body when you don't even know what the ingredients are. Every medication that you get, every pharmaceutical medication, big pharma, comes with a list of ingredients and potential side effects, except the COVIDs. All 3 of them, all the big ones, Merck, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer. No ingredients. Nothing came with that. Nothing. Even the pharmacists and the doctors didn't know what was in it. But well, President Trump did it, so that made it okay. Oh, my goodness. I love my president. I wish he wouldn't have done that. If I ever do get to interview him, that's one of the things I'm going to ask him about. Why? Why'd you do that? Did you really take that shot? You faked it, right? Tell me you faked it. You didn't really take that thing. The other thing I want to ask him about is why he let Hillary Clinton off the hook. I was one of the people at the rallies. I went to one of his rallies. Went to a couple of them, actually, in 2020. And 2016 too. That's right. I went to one in 2016, then another one in 2020. And I was one of the ones in the crowd chanting, "Lock her up." And then when he got in there in 2016, he goes, "Well, they're basically good people. I don't want to do anything to hurt them." That's not what you said during the whole campaign. So there you go. Enough from me. Let's get to Ian. But please like this show. Comment down below if you can, 5 words or more, so they don't count it as a bot. Yeah, that's a thing too. And help this show grow. And it is. Very well. Thank you so much. And I believe that's because you're sharing and getting involved. And I'm glad you're here. Now let's take it to Ian's territory. Ready? Hit it. That messed up. I want to do that again. I like that so much. It messed up. Start it over. That's it. That's better. That's how it's done, son. What's up, buddy?
Charlie, good to be back with you. Silicon Valley, Homo Mafia.
Homo Mafia. I just call it like it is. They've done, listen, when I worked for ABC Radio in San Francisco, the city council in the city made it illegal for any employer to send a dude home and tell him he had to dress like a dude while he's at work. They literally, because these cross-dressing freaks were showing up to work dressed as women, and employers were saying, no, you're representing my business. No, you can't. Go home. Dress like a dude, okay? Or you're not going to get to keep working here. Well, city council stepped up and goes, oh, no, anybody does that, you're going to be brought up on it. You're going to be fined. You're going to be brought up on charges, discrimination, bigotry, homophobia, blah, blah, blah. And I spoke out against that. I was doing a morning radio show on KSFO in the city. And I swear I was the only Republican in the entire 3-story building. But the Homo Mafia just unleashed their fury. The newspapers, television stations, other radio stations were talking about me, that I dared to speak up against this city council. And absolutely no one in the entire metro said, you know what, Charlie's got some good points. No one, because they're scared to death. And they had to hire extra security. They had to walk me to and from my vehicle. They had to put me into a special secluded parking area. It was just insane. The death threats. And most of them never even heard what I said. They have this little network, and it's like kill, kill, kill. They hit the panic button and they swarm. They all swarm. That's my first experience with the homo mafia, and I've called them that ever since, because they use mafia tactics. Strong arm businesses, corporations. You're going to do this. You're going to put your pride crap in your store, and you're going to display it prominently, or we're going to swarm all over
Wiener.
Wiener. Scott Wiener leading the charge. The Wiener's in front. He's pushing hard to take down anybody who dares to say, this is ridiculous. What's wrong with you people? So, Ian, how much pushback have you gotten from your expose of of bringing to light what these villains have been doing in the CIA and so on?
Yeah, I've only gotten support. We've reached out to comment, meaning me, the Daily Mail, publisher. We've reached out to John Brennan. We've gotten no response. The Daily Mail spent 3 days working on an article for this that was approved by their editor and then totally squashed by the legal team. Daily Mail's that kind of New York-based wing of the UK based publication. It's a massive distribution. That would have been a huge hit for the book, and exposing these what I call alleged crimes. My intel source doesn't like me using the word alleged, but that's the approach that we're taking in the publication of the book.
You have to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want to open yourself up to any more problems when you're trying to get some traction and attention on this book. But then again, also, if you're speaking truth, there is no bad press. But you got to consider the costs. You'd have to hire at least one attorney to represent you against some kind of juggernaut like that going after you. So that's just the reality of it. Just like me, like I said in the beginning, if I really wanted to be on YouTube, which is where the money is, Rumble, God bless them, they've never taken down anything I've ever done. They've never even threatened me and said, you know what, that might have been tap dancing toward the line, Charlie. Nothing like that from Rumble. I'm so glad that they're there. I'm so grateful for them. But they made pennies. Last month, I made $50.60.
Yeah.
100,000 plus views, and I made $50.60. So if anybody's thinking I'm getting rich off doing this show, yeah, no. But
hey, that pays for 1 gallon of gas in California, right?
Good. No, that's half a tank for my little old Honda Pilot. How about you? How's the book sales going? How are you getting some attention besides my little old show?
Oh yeah. We just did a podcast yesterday, Agent X11, based in LA. We had Patrick Byrne on that show. So I and a guy named Ralph Pizzulo, your viewers and listeners might be interested in Ralph. Ralph's a guy I've known for a number of years. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He has written extensively on voter fraud. So Ralph is also based in Southern California. Patrick Byrne, we had a great conversation with Patrick. So that was yesterday. And then yesterday morning, I did a show on Lindell TV, Vanessa Broussard. Who very flattering. She's now following me on Twitter. She's a remarkable woman, a very attractive young lady, and she's got a great morning show there on Lindell TV. So it was the second time I joined her show. I've got definitely some traction, Charlie, and to answer your question, it's actually Californians right now, Californians and folks in Nevada. I spoke at a 107 event a few weeks ago in Las Vegas.
You were there? You were there in Vegas?
Yes, sir. Yes, I was.
I just had Juan on last week, and he was chastising me for not being there. But I promised him, come hell or high water, Lord willing, I will be there, because he's got another one coming up in September.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you going to be there too?
Yeah, he's asked me if I was available, so I expect I am available, and I got 40 minutes of stage time. He was very kind to give that to me. His request. He asked me to be at that event, and I'll tell you what, Charlie, my intel source for the book high stakes treason. My intel source, who's former FBI agent, spent over a decade in the DC field office, focusing on terrorism. That was his specialty. So this isn't, the sourcing of my book is not. It's not just some fly by night, college student. This is a very reputable source, and he flew out to Vegas to be at that event. John did, and I brought him up on stage with me for 5 minutes at least. Introduced him to the folks in the crowd, and yeah, that was great. And so and as we were speaking about offline, Charlie, I've got August 27th for you folks that are in Northern California or in California, regardless, or elsewhere. You may be interested in hearing me speak. August 27th, Marin County GOP. I'll get that information to you, Charlie. And I'm bringing a longtime friend of mine, the Google whistleblower, with me. He's written a book with Kent Heckenlively named Google Leaks, published by Skyhorse Publishing. And Zach will be with me. So Zach will probably get the stage first, and then I'll present High Stakes Treason. He and I have been friends for a number of years. In fact, back in 2020, Charlie, at Doral in Florida, he and I had gotten into a private fundraiser for the president, where Mike Pence was there. Kimberly Guilfoyle was there. Some of the folks in the Trump clan that are no longer part of that clan were there. But Zach and I, before we knew it, we were talking to one of the heirs of the New York Yankees, and he introduced us to his friend Tiffany Trump. So we were speaking to the president's daughter, and that's how we got introduced. Zach and I got introduced to the president. This is back October 15th, 2020. So cool. Zach and I have a history together. Yeah.
That's very cool. And that's coming up cool. for if you're in NorCal like I am, Marin County, first of all, it's a beautiful, great place to visit. Can't afford to live there, but it's worth the trip. And if you can see Ian at the Marin County GOP, that's August 27th, you said? Thursday. It's a Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will it be on your website? The information?
I'm not sure if I'll list that on the website or not. I haven't listed talking spots. I probably should, because coming up in October, I'll be down in San Diego at the Rancho Bernardo Women's GOP Club down there. They will be hosting me I'm not sure what day of the week that is either, but October 15th, somewhere about. Yeah, I'll see about listing some of these dates on my website. Good. No guarantee there.
Write this down right now. Spell it correctly. There's his name, Ian Trottier, TROTTIER, IAN TROTTIER.com. And that's where you can find the book too, and how to buy it. So let's talk about why we would want to purchase High Stakes Treason. Let's talk about John Brennan, that ugly bridge troll.
Yeah, the reason this is the most thrilling political expose in the history of the country. Not only has Roger Stone written the foreword, but there's 3 forewords in the book, Charlie. Roger's got his name on the cover. I was close to getting Kiriakou on the cover as well, but that didn't happen. John Kiriakou is a former CIA agent that was sent to prison for 2 years by John Brennan and Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama. This is a stalwart patriot of the country. John has appeared recently on Jesse Waters, Sean Hannity, a number of Joe Rogan, a number of great outlets. So he's had some massive traction his way the past 6 months, but he's written. So he was
I'm sorry for interrupting, but he was a CIA agent and literally got arrested and incarcerated by John Brennan himself, the former director of the CIA.
That's correct. Yeah.
For what reason?
Yeah, he had blown the whistle on the waterboarding techniques being used at Guantanamo. I believe that was a violation of the Geneva Convention.
Got it.
Just
now
an ethical
I'm remembering.
standpoint, you know? Yeah.
Now I remember. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, just kind of an ethical standpoint, saying, "Hey, wait, this isn't meeting the guidelines of the international community." Yeah, he's just kind of doing his job, and they threw him into prison. So when I had approached, he'd been a guest on my podcast back on Wynwood Radio when I was living in Miami, probably back in 2018. Charlie, John was a guest of mine, and then a number of years later, when I was approached and putting this manuscript together for this book, I approached John, and like immediately he's like, "Yeah, John Brennan ruined my career and my life." So he was totally on board with writing the forward. As a matter of fact, Charlie, I was at an event in Mar-a-Lago where I'd approached Roger Stone about the initially General Mike Flynn had said he was going to consider and write something in regards to the forward for the book, and so Roger, I mentioned it to Roger Stone. I'd mentioned getting kind of a back cover blurb from him was my initial approach with Roger, and he got, like his eyes lit up as soon as I mentioned John Brennan. He just like boom. He said, "I want this guy hung. He's a traitor." Immediately, just kind of he took the defensive against or offensive rather against John Brennan, but he had recommended. He suggested to me that he write the forward of the book, and I initially kind of rejected the concept because I had General Flynn that was already in line and saying he'd write something, but his schedule was busy at the time. So I says, Roger, I've got Mike Flynn that's going to write the forward, and he said, and he corrected me. He says, no, you should have me write your forward. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, oh, Roger Stone, yeah, okay. So the only thing I would do differently is I'd put his name much larger than it is on the cover. Right, he's got his name down here. I'd blow that up a little bit because he's a powerhouse politically, right, for the GOP. He's basically the reason Trump got elected the first time around. The thing I like about Roger is he goes back to Barry Goldwater, and Barry Goldwater, the things that I've talked about over the years. I'm very much opposed to the tyranny behind the Federal Reserve. The passing of that act in 1913, I think it's a complete monopoly of our system. Yeah. It enslaves all of us. And into the city of London is basically what it's doing. And Barry Goldwater was outspoken against that. And that's where Stone had gotten his initial involvement politically. I don't know what Stone's view is on the Federal Reserve, but I know he has been outspoken against what they did to Richard Nixon, is where he gained a lot of his notoriety, was working with Richard Nixon. So Stone is a powerhouse, and I'm grateful to have him actually offer to contribute to the forward. People say, how'd you get Roger Stone on the cover? How much did you pay? And I said, Roger Stone, I didn't pay Roger Stone a penny. He offered to put his name, and that adds to the credibility here regarding the substance of the material in the book, right? I mean, that shows your viewers, should show your viewers the intensity behind the information in this book, the possibility that this book has to really change the landscape within the deep state is quite powerful if we can, if we can get the right legal team behind it to charge this man, John Brennan, with the alleged crimes that are proposed in the book. Right now, what we do know is that he's under subpoena in South Florida. That's Jason Quinones. The reason they're in South Florida is because, Charlie, of the Mar-a-Lago raid under the Biden administration regarding the FBI. And that's why these subpoenas, because John Brennan's directly linked to that. We know that through the Tulsi Gabbard email releases of last fall. Now, of interest to note is that a George Mason panel, Charlie, there was a man, Thomas Special. This is a YouTube clip that went viral. He stands up in the audience. John Brennan is one of the panel members answering questions, and this Special, who's an agent with the NCTC, the National Counterterrorism Center, which is a critical component to the contents of the book, the NCTC, a brainchild, more or less, of John Brennan. Thomas Special stands up, asks him a question about the contents that Tulsi Gabbard had released in the emails, and he completely denies it. He calls it disinformation. He calls it BS. John Brennan did. And at an after party, another video goes viral because Brennan is confronted with Special. He literally physically pokes this guy in the chest. And again, he calls the information BS. But they were able to drive Tulsi out, of course, of her position. That's my belief. I think the excuse that her husband's health is ailing as to why she stepped down, I think that's an excuse. Not saying that her husband's not ill. I just think it's an excuse. I think they drove her out because she was being effective at what she was doing. And even yesterday, Charlie, even yesterday with Patrick Byrne, keep in mind your viewers should know that Patrick Byrne was a CIA. He didn't use the word asset. I'll use the word asset. He was working in conjunction with the CIA. Overstock.com, which he co-founded, was a cover for his involvement. Back in 2006 was his early involvement in the CIA. Even Patrick Byrne has basically stated that this Tulsi Gabbard thing was she was pushed out of that. So a lot of things going on here, but the reason your viewers should be buying this book immediately, at the very least, get an Audible version of it and listen to it in the background while you're working or working out or whatever it may be, because it gives the American people a direct approach of how an FBI agent analyzed and analyzes John Brennan, because this is what it was. This is information that was given to me by an FBI agent. I created a book out of it, but I keep the thematics in line and in tune with how he did his research, which is called data mining. So you're basically getting the psychology of how he was trained, and this is why he was unable to publish the material himself. You get the psychology of how he was trained to analyze critical data and keep the country safe. And of course, Charlie, when he went back to the FBI, his former employer, when he was digging through the information in 2011, they did nothing. Crickets. They did absolutely nothing. And in fact, he shows up to work in the morning, and they fired his private contract company, it's called Surveillance, fired him because of the analysis he was doing on John Brennan. And he got a death threat, and his family for over a decade thought he was nuts. I was fortunate. I just met one of his sons. He's got a great family, but they all kind of thought he was a wingbat. He thought he was nuts. But now these things are coming to light. It's kind of like the conspiracy theory until we show that it is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
There's no theory. And then, oh, wow, okay, this is true.
6 months.
Oh, the country's been invaded. Yeah. So anyway, so John's an American hero in my view, in my opinion. But that is why Americans need to get this book, because yes, it is my book. It is partially my research, but this is the crux of it. Is all coming from a former FBI agent, and it's telling the American people what is happening at the upper echelons of our intelligence community, which has been hijacked. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the upper echelons of our intelligence community has been hijacked by a foreign entity. It is not being run by the American people. And yes, John Brennan was born in New Jersey. Yes, he's an American, but he is himself being manipulated. He's a communist, a sympathizer. These are brainwashing techniques, I believe, that happened. He voted for Gus Hall, former candidate for the White House, as a communist. Gus Hall was CP, Communist Party USA presidential candidate. Same thing with Barack Obama. But again, the contents of High Stakes Treason is teaching the American people how to view kind of the intelligence aspect of the deep state. What's interesting, Charlie, is that Patrick Byrne has recently stated, now he said things are changing in DC, but he has recently stated on the Alex Jones show within the past 6 months that John Brennan still runs the CIA. He owns, this is a quote, he owns the top 2 layers of the CIA, and that John Ratcliffe is a performing flea. Ratcliffe is nothing more than a puppet. Now, I asked Byrne that question, if that remains true to this day. He says he doesn't really know, because there's a lot going on. There's a war, as we know. There's a war at the upper echelons here of our government. You've got the constitutional Republicans, Trump people that want to keep things as the way they are, freedom of speech, Second Amendment rights, those types of things, all the things that we've inherited from our founding fathers. And then you've got this whole socialist, communist wave that is getting more and more powerful and has come to the head in regards to Gavin Newsom in your state, Nuthead. Yeah, I mean, a nice guy. Give me wrong. He's a nice, personable person, but his
Who,
policies are
Gavin
just
Newsom is?
disgusting. Oh, I mean, I met him. He's a nice
Really?
guy, but
He talked to his best friend. Just talked to his best friend who he cheated
Yeah.
on his wife, his campaign manager. Talking about how nice he is. Talk to people who worked with him and for him in San Francisco. No, he's not a nice man.
Not a
at
nice
all.
guy.
He's a conniving, horrible human being. He truly is. He's a user and abuser.
His policies are atrocious. Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs to be deported. He needs to be get out. Yeah.
Yeah,
and people like Kamala Harris, right? Deport him now. I mean, these guys are criminals. Charge him with crimes. Deport him.
They need to be deported to Gitmo is where he needs to be deported. I don't think that we have any place in our constitutional republic for a super secret, subversive, under the guidance and leadership of any elected president kind of police force like the CIA. I don't think we need it. I don't know why it's there. I'm sorry we have it. I wish it was gone. I almost feel that way about the FBI too. I think that the whole federal overreach is just insane at this point, and not an accident. I'd love to see the CIA go away completely. Do you think the founding fathers actually would have been really strong on, we're going to have a whole secret group of people who are calling the shots and doing things in other countries and coercion and assassinations and so on to make things happen the way they want to make things happen? Who's running the show there? The president can't seem to stop it or make it go away.
Yeah, that's right, because it's been captured by a foreign entity. That's just the way. Now, let me draw some things that are of interest, and your listeners will appreciate this information. As we know, right, the OSS was very much entwined with the City of London. That's the precursor to what we know as the CIA, developed after World War II. John F. Kennedy, for Democrats that might be listening, right? John F. Kennedy, who I think would be considered a conservative today. John F. Kennedy wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces because he knew in the 60s, the early 60s, he knew that the CIA was corrupt and it was working for this globalist entity and globalist regime.
There it is.
Not,
that's it.
Not part of the American people, right? It's not us. It doesn't represent us. It represents the global community, the global economics. So here's an interesting thing to consider here. And we talked about Juan 07, and I was able to speak at his event. Juan's a great guy. Didn't get a chance to really get to know him very well. Hopefully, that'll come to light. It was the first time I'd met him, Charlie, at that event in Vegas. This is what I do know, is that there was a South Korean delegate at that event, Charlie. Part of that delegate was the former the former prime minister of South Korea. In one-on-one conversation, and Douglas Frank, Dr. Douglas Frank, was standing next to me. This is a clip that's gone somewhat viral, a few thousand views. I was asking the delegation a few questions in regards to what I know about John Brennan, and I know this much. According to Patrick Byrne, there's a data center that was built by John Brennan in Belgrade, Serbia, with the Chinese company Huawei. That data center was critical in manipulating Dominion votes to put Biden into office in 2020. Now, that information I shared with this South Korean delegate. They had no idea of the CIA, meaning John Brennan, involvement in building the data center, or did they know about the presence of Huawei in Belgrade? But here's the shiner here, is that they said, interestingly enough, Huawei is the company that has completely manipulated, bought, and is controlling the voting system in South Korea. and has installed a communist to lead that country.
Well, South Korea is all but done now at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for them to pull the trigger. It's so close to just flipping right over to communism. South Korea, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, wonderful country with wonderful people, and they're just being railroaded. It's awful what's happening there. North Korea and Kim Jong.
So, yeah, but Huawei is that company, right? That Chinese company.
Well,
Huawei
that's why President Trump his first time around said, "No, you're not going to sell your phones here." Remember that? Huawei was.
No, I don't remember that.
They were trying to establish themselves as a cell phone company here and building towers and so on. And President Trump said, "No, stop it all." That was that Chinese company, Huawei, same company. And now we see why. President Trump knew something we didn't. It was a good move, but it hasn't stopped him, obviously. So it's divide and conquer. That's what they do. That's what the Chinese, that's what the communists do. And they're patient. They think in terms of 100 years in advance in the future. We think about, what are we going to do in 6 months? And it's working all around us. But so far, President Trump has been the one thing keeping this whole nation from falling right in line with Europe and heading headlong into that one world government, that new world order. It's President Trump that has ruined it for them. And I pray for his safety all the time, the safety for him, his family, his administration, even his friends, all those around him. Pray for their safety because they've got powerful, horrific, satanic enemies that want to destroy him and everything that he's trying to do for us. I think that things are about to happen before this midterm election, especially after talking to 107 last week. I'm like, everybody hang on, man. It's coming. Just be ready and don't freak. That's what he kept saying. Don't panic. Don't freak out. These things have to happen. It's going to be short-lived. There's a plan. Trust the plan. Now, I don't follow Q. I don't even know where to even find Q or how to even listen to Q anymore. That whole thing got deplatformed. I don't even know where to go to find it. But I got friends who are still following it somehow. And I'll ask them, well, how do you know? How do you find this stuff? Well, it's the Anons who do it. Well, how do you know what they're saying is actually what Q said? Who is Q? What is Q? The whole thing just gets so ridiculous and overwhelming to me, Ian, that I finally just turn to who I always turn to, and that's the Lord. Lord, please, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give it to you. Give me that peace beyond all understanding that you promised. Thank you, Father. That's it gets to a point to where it just seems so much that you're either going to panic and run or you're going to shut down and freak out and not do anything. And I think that's the plan, isn't it? That's what they want us to do.
Well, they certainly want you to shut up. And they want you to live in fear, that's for sure. We know that much. They don't want you to exercise your constitutional rights, which is what you and I are doing, and it is effective. They want you to just be a good little cog in the wheel. Pay your taxes. Don't contest authority. Don't ask questions. Just go about your business and don't ruffle any feathers. But let's not forget, there is a man sitting in a jail cell right now in Brooklyn, and his name is Maduro. And why is that important? Because extracting him from Caracas could potentially put him in a witness seat for voter fraud. Now, there's something called the Cartel de los Solis, and I want to mention the name to your viewers, Charlie. His name is Martin Rodil. He has worked with Gary Bernstein, and he has worked with the guy that I mentioned earlier, Ralph Pizzullo. And Martin is a man that I literally flew to D.C. to meet with. A week prior to flying to D.C., we had agreed to meet in an office space. As soon as I stepped off the plane, he was unable to meet. So I was there July 4th weekend in D.C., so there's some other things that occupied my time. But the reason I had gone there, again, to reiterate, was to meet with this Venezuelan that is considered a CIA whistleblower, Martin Rodil. He has he has evidence that directly links the CIA to Cartel de los Solis, which is the cartel, the gang. And, you know, when we're talking about gang, we're not talking about like Bloods and Crips. We're talking about like billions of dollars. And this is from my view, that might be inaccurate, but we are talking about major global drug trade profits and human trafficking trades, weapons trades. This is the type of power that this Maduro Venezuelan cartel is still operating, is running, and it was created, evidently, what I'm told, by Fidel Castro. The CIA, according to Martin Rodil and John Brennan, are direct business partners with this cartel de los Solis. And why that's important in regards to our voting machines and voter fraud in this country, because Smartmatic, which put Hugo Chavez into power, created by the Venezuelans to manipulate their elections, and which is why Maduro remained in power, was used in the United States under the name Dominion. Okay. And that is what put, and I just stated, that is what put Joseph Robinette Biden into office in 2020 and kept Trump out. Now,
Yep.
the reason Trump got back in is because there are what are referred to in the Q movement. And like you, Charlie, I don't follow Q. I don't know much about Q. I just don't. But they are referred to as white hats. And evidently, there is a small community that Patrick Byrne would be attached to in some regard, and Mike Flynn would be attached to in some regard, and I think even 107 is attached to some degree. These are people that are working directly with the president, or have in the past, and they are considered white hats that are working with what would be considered QAnonymous folks in the Pentagon, that are helping, trying to save the country. If you're watching Charlie and you're listening to Charlie, and this is the first you're hearing about this, then you probably want to listen to Charlie.
Or, oh no, oh shoot, dang damn it. No, it was just getting good. This happens. This is freaky. This keeps happening when we talk about things like this. When I start talking about MK Ultra with people, when I start talking about CIA stuff like this, that happens. 107. How many times did he go away when I was talking to him last week? And you saw the finished product. It was worse than that. I had to edit it up to try and cut out some of those big spaces where he just kept going away. Well, Juan was on a cell phone or a mobile phone and driving. So that might have been part of it. But this keeps happening. It's the freakiest thing. It's so bizarre that this stuff keeps happening when I talk about stuff like this. I'm quite convinced now it's not by accident. We're so targeted. We're so watched. We're so monitored now. And then with AI is following every single thing that we say on just about every single platform now. It's just freaky, buddy. So I want you to do well. I want you to flourish. I want more strong people like you who are willing to step up, step out, and take a chance and not be afraid, because too many people are afraid. You know, talking about how brave you are is one thing, but when it comes time to actually pull the trigger, most people shrink back. They just don't. They don't have that bravery like they say they do. So I want you to do well, and I'm asking you to please buy his book. Forget going to my website and buying one of these mugs, although if I were you, I would want one of these. Go to his website and buy that book right there, and that's how you spell his name right there. Ian Trottier, Trottier, Ian, IAN, Trottier.com. Where else can we find your book, High Stakes Treason?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. That's probably a link that we'll go through on the website. But
Yeah,
to
go to
help
his
me out the
website first.
most,
Don't go right to Amazon. Go to his website first and bookmark it. Follow Ian. Follow what he's doing, because obviously this took a lot of bravery, and
yeah,
nobody's supporting him. Nobody's paying him to write this book, and people recognize the importance of it. People like Roger Stone, who I admire and respect, and wrote the forward for you for nothing. Didn't ask for anything, and that speaks volumes to me. So I hope that you'll go to his website and that you will purchase this book. I'll do the audio book myself. I love driving and listening to books while I'm driving. But thank you very much. Anything else you want to share with us?
yeah, you can Venmo me $35 if you want an autographed copy, and
There
I'll
you
get that out.
go.
Just leave a comment and leave your address in the comments of Venmo. But I'll ship that out ASAP. Again, Marin County, August 27th. I'll be speaking there, and then I'll be down in San Diego in October, and then location in Central California. It's Californians right now, Charlie. It's the Californians that are the most receptive to the information in this book. Really, it's just the way I got the most buzz and I got the most movement amongst Californians, because and this doesn't surprise me, because on the California flag, it's the Bear Revolt flag, right? It says the Republic of California. This is not only the economic engine for the country, in my opinion. There's some, you've got a lot of companies now leaving California, but thanks to the politics. But California is a critical state in the unification of the country, and it is Californians such as your viewers that are saying, that are just starved, right? They're just starved for information, and they want this stuff out, because I think slowly they're realizing that DC is completely manipulated. DC's gotten way out of hand, and we will lose the republic if we do not do something about it. And that should be exactly how, if you have kids at home, that's exactly how you should be rearing and raising your kids, to be fighters, strong warriors, to stand up to this tyranny, because they will not have a republic if they're not raised that way. They will lose it, and we might lose it in our lifetime. I don't think so. I think we're doing some good work. Thank goodness we've got Trump in office, and he's doing some things. But we also must understand that there are things, there are mechanisms in place that are constraining Trump from doing some of the things that he wants to do as well. But that's why I push John Brennan. If we can get this guy, if we can get this character, we get him indicted and charged with the alleged crimes, and we take him
Treason.
down, and we expose.
With treason.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we expose these crimes and criminality, and specifically in the CIA. And I don't think the average American, and that would include myself, realizes just how strong the CIA. It was Robert Morningstar that I joined his show a little while ago, and he literally said the CIA is controlling the American government. That's how powerful this agency is, and it really has no business. It has no business operating within our borders. It should have an office, but we saw how they dealt with the Tulsi Gabbard thing. They went into her office and took out those 40 boxes. They had no jurisdiction whatsoever to be able to do that, from my understanding. Yet they did. So they are a rogue agency, and like I've said, they are controlled by a foreign entity that is controlled essentially out of the city of London. And MI6, British intelligence. You can see that with Christopher Steele and the Steele dossier. Cambridge University. I came right out of Cambridge University. That's, again, I'll repeat, MI6. And Brennan orchestrated that. We know that through the email leaks from Tulsi Gabbard. Brennan orchestrated that. This book will revolutionize the way Americans view and understand how the deep state's operating and manipulating their government and their country. That's what this book will do, and it will help Americans understand how to dissect and expose further corruption. And that would be 9/11. And that's where I believe this book will direct Americans into exposing what the CIA knew, what our intelligence communities knew in 9/11. In my opinion, Charlie, Edward Snowden needs to be pardoned. He needs to be brought back to this country. In my opinion, from what I know,
And
he
Julian
is an American
Assange.
hero. And Assange
Julian
is another
Assange.
one. Absolutely.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah. We're live on 7 different platforms right now. I'm going to take the show and I'm going to add graphics and so on, and then post the final show on my Rumble channel, rumble.com/do-not-talk. And there it will remain. Rumble will not take it down. Rumble will not penalize me. They will not say I'm violating community standards for telling the truth. They will not do any of that. I trust Rumble now. But I bring this up that we're live on several different platforms right now to let you know, and this might sound like overly dramatic, but it seems to be like something you have to say now at this point just to protect yourself. I'm not suicidal, not in the least. I can't speak for Ian, but I am not. I love life, and I'm glad I'm here now, and I'm glad that the Lord has put me in this kind of position and given me this kind of, I don't know if it's bravery or if it's just plain dumb, but he's given me this ability to say, yeah, this is what's going on. Please pay attention. How about you, Ian? You feeling
Definitely not suicidal. I love life
these days. You love life.
Love every moment of it. Yeah, love every moment of it.
Good. I'm serious. You have to say crap like that now with other people to witness it, just to be protected in some way. It's really scary right now what's going on, but I do believe it's coming to a head, and that the other side, once it's all done, come 2027, I think we're going to see a whole different kind of world here in the United States of America, and that's going to spread to the world.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely great, Charlie.
And I hope that all y'all buy Ian's book. Go to his website, iantrottier.com. Brother, thank you. I really value you, and I hope to make it to your public speaking event in Marin County next month. Thank you, my friend.
It'd be great to have you there. Great to see you, Charlie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There you go. Good heavens. I'm not fearful. My heart actually feels encouraged. I'm just a good old boy from Bakersfield. I've been a morning show radio DJ most of my life. Now I'm talking about such serious matters as this. Nothing happens by accident. We are where we are at this time in history for a reason. So step up, strap on a set if you have to. Get in the fight. Get registered to vote. Register to vote.ca.gov here in California. Get registered to vote. We need you voting this coming November for the midterm election. This is really the most important election of my lifetime. I don't know about you. I hear other people say that all the time, and I'm like, okay, every single election cycle is the most important. This time it really is true. If we can't get a solid majority in the House and the Senate and the federal government, they're going to destroy my president. They're going to destroy him. So pray for his safety. And mine. And Ian's. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America, bless God.